I was the first person to arrive at that crime scene that day. It is then it occurred to me that I could use this situation to control Lana. His voice is off, so you really were manipulating her. I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that's when she saw the scene, she would ask for my aid. So you assisted Miss Sky. I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dark convicted. When we rearranged the crime scene, I had 2 pieces of evidence. I did this before Lana arrived at the scene. 2 pieces of evidence? You mean those 2 items in your safe? But why? For the insurance. For insurance, of course. Insurance. I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? Who do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. See this jaw fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on the jar too? Ho ho ho! Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. Worthy? You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Wrighto. Cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gantz. That you were hiding the cloth you cut off from the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do it. I didn't want to have to do that being chief and all. But it's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move, Wrighto. You should have shown it before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess this up, victory is mine. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. Evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall. Past it. Take that! Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest? Oh yes! At last you finally brought it out into the open. There's a handprint on this piece of cloth! Your Honor, the prosecution requests that immediately be sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather... There must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. You mean... It could not have been forged. This must be authentic, conclusive evidence. Oh boy. Ho ho ho. You're as slow as the uptake as ever, Worthy. What? Think about it. Wrighto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know? Whose ever fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? Alright, very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person whom these fingerprints belong to are... none other than our own Emma Sky. Emma? Emma Sky? What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me? Oh! You're really something, Wrighto. You knew this girl did it all along, and yet you still tried to pin the murder on me. So it's true. Tragic, but true. This girl really did show Prosecutor Marshall to his death. How could you? You monster! Miss Sky? You knew whose fingerprints were those all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Sky, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet. Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Can't got your tongue? Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. Oh? And what's that? Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall? What? Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask? It was Emma Skye, wasn't it? I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction, one that proves who the real killer is. Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth? What could it possibly contradict? Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. Take that! And what exactly is this supposed to be? This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut off? Yes. His shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Oh, but that piece of cloth... Wait. There's no blood on it. Ah! Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword! No, this is nonsense! Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him with the armored sword? Then, to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood. Then he broke the jar on purpose to leave behind a clue. And make Lana believe her sister did it! Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you proved you were the actual murderer! No! Ooh. What? Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Run! Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations. What do you mean, you refute his allegations? You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. What do you mean by that? What you talking about, Gant? Order! Order! What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Aji? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse for Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time. Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. But that's not fair. Ho 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 ho! Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth? True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Well, Mr. Wright? It seems at last. The time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. Mr. Wright, do you admit it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? Of course not. Certainly, I refuse to present evidence at one point. Aha! So the evidence is illegal. No, it isn't, Mr. Gant. Huh? It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't. What do you mean you couldn't? There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Wajid! Don't listen to his lies! He's nothing but a coward! You can't let him!
There's only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now. Here's an easy one, another easy one. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Sky's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth. Nothing more.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying, I did not have approval from the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence must be relevant to the case and trial. And here's the crux of the matter. You see, at the time, it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just look at this. Looks like one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? That was shown only a few moments ago.
No.
He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest?
Oh, yes. No!
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who that could be.
Damon Gant! The killer was you! Wow!
Oh my god, that was exhausting. I knew I should have gotten rid of him. Wow, I am lightheaded after that. That good-for-nothing scum! For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, and yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, and then convinced Bruce Goodman. Detective Goodman? Yeah, that's right. If the evidence transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Jacob Marshall didn't know when to quit, which caused the police department incident, the second one, of... Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. And then all of a sudden, he had to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please open the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence. There are too many questions left unanswered. He told me to open up the evidence room and take it out. It's not too late. I'll hand this to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a little panicked too. I had a bad feeling about it, but I never knew it would come to this. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. I couldn't just pull it out. He would only increase the amount of blood, and you couldn't finish what you started. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I was wiping it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my mistake. Detective Gumshoes Bloody handprints. I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business in doing any of it. Then you put the body in my car. I'm sorry, we couldn't think of any other way to move the body. You broke the trunk, but what's the big deal? You pulled down a lot more than us detectives. Grr. What does this have to do with anything? You're horrible. How could you get Miss Guy involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker. I feel bad for having to do it. I couldn't sit around and pick and choose what to take. True that. Well, you left the jar fragments in the gloves. Glove? Yeah. Looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. They all did their best to get in my way. I've got to hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, what are you doing in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy. What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I'm sorry too, Demingant. I knew you as you used to be, long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person. Those days are gone now, Udgy. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here, and Worthy. With these two around, you can't go wrong. You see, if I listen carefully, I can hear it right now. The sound of a new beginning. It's finally finished. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes? First, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damingant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Skye, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today. So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, Miss Skye. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. She smiled! I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Skye. And you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it must have been for you. It was nothing. Liar. Liar, pants on fire. I was worried that the pressure might break you, and yet, you rose above it all and guided Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth. Stop it! I only did my job. Aw, he must be blushing. In light of this case, it seems a good self-examination is in order for all of us. Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor? You are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. A trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date. Yes, I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty. Win. We have successfully won. I'm going to go take a nap now. That is all. This court is adjourned. That's a long trial. So they started at 10 and ended at 5. That's like 6 hours. No, wait. Let me do my math here. I'm doing math. 10-5. That's 7 hours of corpse. Holy crap. At long last, it's finally over. Oh, why did you just ruin the happy music all of a sudden? Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. No, that's not it. Just now, after the trial ended, she just said Mia first. I like how they changed that, thinking nobody would notice. You know, I did my best too. But Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. Oh, yes I am. I'll come back later. Ah, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty, and to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope, not this time. I came today because of you, pal. Me? That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. Hi, Lana. Lana? Should you be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell you if you won't. Emma, I owe you an apology. It's okay, sis. Don't worry about it. That day 2 years ago was the first time in my life I ever panicked. So, let's see, you were 25 back then. So, you went 25 years in your life without panicking. That's impressive. Sis, I asked Aunt to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake, but now I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. Makes sense. You don't have to bite your thumb. Talk about a nervous habit. Aw, sad face. Happy? Aww. I smell a hug coming on. Aww, it's so adorable. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do to strive up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our path. And once we found our path, we can move on from our past mistakes towards a brighter future. At least that's what I felt looking at those two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe, me? Thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Edgeworth. Where was he hiding? I just came to say congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. Mr. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. Hmm? We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. Edgeworth? No matter what anyone may say, I realized today that I can't change my own mistakes. Mr. Edgeworth? Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Chief Gann was right. You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. If you want to take them on alone, you'll figure out what's needed. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them. But in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. It's scary, but I've been thinking about the same thing for quite some time now. But Edgeworth? Who knows? Given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Chief Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Edgeworth, don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Manfred von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime. But they both made the same mistake. You said in order to fight crime alone, one needs a weapon. That may be right, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. Huh? You were working together with Mr. Wright, and because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright? Me, huh? What? Oh, yeah. What is this, a pop quiz? Evidence that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own? I have an idea. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half of the list, and I had the other. Apart, we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture, or the meaning. That didn't just happen by chance, Edgeworth. It's time for me to go. Mr. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Oh, adios, Edgeworth. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, what happened in this trial can either make or break you as a prosecutor. In the end, it's up to you. I know. It seems I owe you my thanks too, right? But what I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I better be getting back to... Okay, I'll come visit you. It seems we both still have a lot to learn. Here, this is a little something for you. It's like, aw, that's awesome. The first book you ever got? How long ago was this? And so, another case came to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. And as for me, I think it's time I started on a new journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off yet, just yet, pal. Huh? What is it, detective? There's just a little matter to be resolved about the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this, but I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, it may be okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. Huh? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Huh? Way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, Mr. Wright here's the one who will be footing the bill. Huh? Huh? What, do you think I could afford that with my salary? You gotta be kidding me, pal. Huh? 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 Thank you, Mr. Wright. You're the best. Why is it I suddenly feel like I want to scream? Since we're all here, why don't we all go together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Objection!
And that's it for Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. This was a really fun project. Oh yeah, something you can do in the ending is you can spread this fingerprint powder around, and when you blow, oh well. And yeah, this was a really fun project. I don't... Something I kind of want to bring up, even though this may sound like a weird thing to say, I kind of wish America's judicial system was like this. Because America approves a lot of stuff, like the prosecutors and stuff send a lot of some innocent people to jail with circumstantial evidence, and that really pisses me off. Because they're really innocent and stuff like that. I'm not saying with like how the game mechanics of like the pressing and presenting, but the gist of how it usually works with like the prosecutor on one side, the defense on the other side, the witness standing in front of the judge. I know it sounds like a weird thing for me to be saying, but it's honestly how I think, because America's judicial system just pisses me off. Oh, it's Meekins. Wait, whatever happened to Marshall? Come to think of it. Just like Gumshoe, that's something you want to avoid, I think. I really don't have a lot to say here. Oh, regarding my next LPs, I'm gonna have an update video coming for that. Yeah. Oh, right, you can do this for the Blue Badger. You annoying piece of crap. That was somewhat helpful. I don't even know. You cause so much pain. That's all I can say about you. Yay! Yes! Oh, there he is. You're having a showdown with a steak lunch? I like how that's his, like, flinching phase or whatever when he gets, like, owned. When he was like, what? Like, when his eyes were yellow, which was weird. I think Miss Star's up next, actually. Yep, I was right. I'm weird that way. The right way lunch? Oh, you know how to do business, lady. The turnabout theme? Oh, wow. You rock. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. It's the judge. Really? Mr. Wow. That's actually pretty badass looking at the judge right there. Been leaning on my left arm. How ironic. After what we just seen. Oh my god, I've been leaning on too hard. It wasn't as long as the episode 4 finale, but I think just as epic. Maybe possibly even more. Maya! Where are you? Well, wait, what are you talking about? She said, see you around Knit, but I don't even. But... I think there's one more. Yep. Mr. Edgeworth. It's that bellboy again. that? What's it say? I'm sure it's nothing. I'm sure that note was nothing. We'll be seeing Edgeworth again soon. You're up? Yeah, lay it on thick. What you got? A letter? Oh, that is so cute. Well, that's it for Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. I will see you guys next Let's Play.